Hello, fuckos, and welcome to this episode 59 of the Chris Hunter Comedy Podcast with me, Chris Hunter. Hello, how are you doing? Are you well? I hope you've had a nice week, because I have had a nice week indeed. But yeah, it's been good. But before we start, I just wanted to say a very quick happy 18th birthday to Cousin Joe. Happy birthday, mate. I hope you had a great time, and good luck with your A-levels that you've been doing. I imagine this time of year, there's a lot of people out there doing their A-levels, and it cannot be easy. I know that when I was younger, doing exams was always a friggin' nightmare, because a lot of the times you have to learn to pass the exam. Like, the idea of exams is meant to be to show that you've learnt the stuff you're supposed to learn during that lesson time. But unfortunately, a lot of the times when it comes to actually doing the exam, you end up just learning how to pass that instead, which is really awkward. But hopefully you've found it okay. Hopefully you've gone through everything fine. You're very, very smart. I'm sure it's all good. Anywho, with that aside, happy birthday. Yeah, it's been a good week. Went to watch Sweeney Todd in Liverpool this week. Oh, it was good. I didn't know what to expect. It was awesome. It was in the Everyman Theatre, which I've never been to before, but it's an awesome building. I really enjoyed it, and they had it set up in the round. So instead of being like, they normally it's like seats all facing the stage, and that's your lot. Well, this instead was the performance was in the middle, and all the seats were around the middle, which had like a rotating ground in it as well, which is really cool. And it had somebody from EastEnders in it, in the play. I don't know her actual name, but she played Little Mo. I don't watch EastEnders either, but apparently, I recognised her. So that was nice. And she was really good. She played Mrs. Lovett. Honestly, everybody in the play was really good. And it was one of the things I found most impressive was that the whole, as you guys may or may not know, Sweeney Todd is a musical. So you'd expect to see, a big band or big orchestra or something going on for a musical to support the music. But there was only 4 people. That's it. 4 instruments, happening. Well, 4 people playing instruments. Because there's a guy on a keyboard. There was a guy on like a big, what's it called, a big cello. But he also played the trumpet. There was somebody on a clarinet, and there was somebody on a violin. And just between the 4 of them, they carried the whole damn show. And it was good. It was very good. There was pies everywhere. There was fake blood everywhere. It was a jolly good time. And they even sold Mrs. Lovett's meat pies on intermission, which you shouldn't buy. Because if you know Sweeney Todd, you know that Mrs. Lovett's meat pies contains people. So, if you want to be a cannibal, you feel free. I've got no problem farming people for food. But, it's not my thing as of right now. So I'm going to give that one a hard pass. But whilst we were in Liverpool, it was nice because we got a chance to catch up with some friends that we haven't seen in ages. And it's a real shame, but we've just been so busy, and they've been so busy, that, when you're just trying to organise something and your calendars just never line up. Well, we've had that for like the past year. But the good thing is, these guys, they're more like family than friends, so it feels like it's been 5 minutes when you haven't seen them forever. Which, it was so nice to catch up. We went for some amazing food, really tasty stuff. And yeah, had a quick catch up with them, and one of my mates, Steve, has just opened his own tattoo studio called Black Waltz in Liverpool. And holy shit, guys. Right, if you guys, this isn't a sponsorship, it's just me gushing over a friend's talents. If you guys do need tattoos, have a look at Black Waltz in Liverpool on Rodney Street. Because there's 3 of them there, and they're all insanely talented in their own fields of what they do. So yeah, just have a look on Facebook and stuff. Black Waltz. It's bloody good stuff. Bloody good show. Bloody good. So we also went for our burger this week, as we do every week, if we get a chance to. This week it was what was it actually called? It was a Homer Simpson burger. I forget the name, sorry folks, but it was basically a donut burger. And it was yum, 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 yum. It was jolly good, folks. Jolly bloody good indeed. You see what they do, and here's the magic of it. Instead of just being your bog standard buns, which by the way are also friggin' tasty at Cafe at the End of the Universe, they replaced the buns with donuts, which were just the right amount of sweet. The icing on it was so nice, and weirdly, I don't know why, but the sweet icing of the donut just goes perfectly well with the savoury meatiness of the burgers. And the little barbecue sauce that was in between, that had a little bit of sweetness to it, oh, it all tied it together right nice. Now, it was so tasty, I ate it real quick. Now, I think I kind of had to eat it quick because it was going to get really messy if I didn't. But yeah, it was bloody gorgeous. But the only problem I had was that because I'd had donuts on my burger, it meant I couldn't really have my dessert like I normally would. Normally, we'd get the the cheesecake of the week, or the, whatever the cake of the week is from Dark Side of the Spoon. And this week it was peach and passion fruit tart, which I was looking forward to, but I was full of sweet stuff. Although after a little while, I did manage to get myself a sneaky little ice cream. So, it's not all lost. It's not all gone down shitty. It was an amazing burger, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he pulls out the bag for next week. I'm assuming it'll be something Game of Thrones themed. I don't know. Maybe not, actually. There was a recent one. Genuinely no idea what it will be, actually. So that'd be cool to find out. So that was bloody nice. I really, really did enjoy that. But speaking of tasty foods and stuff, I went to Tesco before, right? And I was looking for what to buy for my tea. And I discovered that I felt like fish, chips and peas. Now, I like to make it myself at home, although we do have the best chippy in the world around the corner. But if you make it yourself, it's cheaper and healthier because you can buy fish that you can bake in the oven, and, some sweet potato chips, which we got, which are really nice, and a tin of mushy peas, quite cheap. But anyway, on the way back, I was thinking to myself, I drove past a restaurant, and it was an Indian restaurant, and it smelled ridiculously good, which I'm sure it was ridiculously good. But it got me thinking, I would love to have an Indian, but then I thought, no, we had one the other day. Well, we didn't actually, but we wanted one the other day. But, when in England, when we say we want an Indian, you get it, right? But then you can't, get one the next day, and the next day, and the next day. And it got me pondering, why isn't everybody in India, super fat? Because they eat Indian food every day, every meal. You know what I mean? If I was to eat Indian food even just twice a week, I would be about 4 times the size that I currently am. And the size I currently am is not exactly size 0. I don't get it. And I thought this is the same for any kind of takeaway place. I mean, Americans, we get it. Burgers, big burgers from America. They're all fat tubs of shit. But, it's Indian food, Chinese food, all the other takeaway things that we get. The countries of origin of that type of food, they're not a bunch of fatty boombatties, are they? It confused me. I don't get it. I mean, do they have a bunch of curry and then go and just run it off, do a bit of exercise or something? It makes no sense. If you guys have got the answer to this little pondry of mine, do me a solid. Write in. Send me an email or fax or whatever you want to do. Send it via bloody pigeon. But social media, you're probably more likely to get a reply. But, just let me know what you guys think is the reason why India isn't full of fat people. Because I honestly hadn't thought about it till today. And now I really, really need to know the answer. It looks like it's been a good week, by the way, for sports people. I don't follow sports really at all, apart from Japanese baseball. And even that's only a light follow. But I did see that apparently Man City, this last week, was it, won one of the cups. I couldn't say which one, but it was a big one by the looks of it. And apparently it was a record-breaking score. So bravo to any people out there who are Man City fans. Apparently it was 6-0 or somewhere around there. And that's pretty friggin' impressive, I don't follow football anymore. I did when I was a kid. Back in the day, when I lived right in front of Liverpool's ground, I was a massive Liverpool fan. But when I say back in the day, I mean my team was Robbie Fowler and Ian Rush and Steve McManaman. Other fun names to say like that, Paul Ince, Bruce Grobbelaar. Was he Man United? I can't remember, but either way, you get the gist. It was about 96. So that was a while ago now. Oh my God, 96 was a very long time ago. 23 years ago. Holy shit, I'm old. I'm an old motherfucker. So that was fun. But also, obviously, folks, big news about last week. And don't worry, no spoilers. This is a 0 spoiler zone. Never fear, you don't need to skip. Last week was the finale of Game of Thrones. And I got up at 5:30 in the feckin' morning to watch it before I went to work. Because that way I could avoid spoilers from the people who sit near me who like to talk quite loud about things that are happening in Game of Thrones. So it was nice to be able to know I'd got through the whole of season 8 with 0 spoilers, and it was reassuring. And I enjoyed the ending. I know a lot of people complain about it, a lot of people bitch about it. I think the people who signed a petition to get them to redo season 8, please take a long, hard look in the mirror at yourself and then repeatedly punch what you see, because you, sir, or madam, or it, are an idiot. Because, it's not your thing, okay? I get it. If you're not happy about something, fair enough, you don't have to be happy about it. But you know what? It's not your creation. You can't demand that somebody recreates something. Do you know how many times I've been out in public and somebody's kid has started screaming or wailing or just being a general arsehole? I've never once said, I demand you kill this one and remake it. I've never ever said that. I want to, granted, but I don't say it out loud because I'm not just an annoying arsehole on the internet. But there was 1 million people. 1 million people signed that petition. That means there's at least 1 million people who I could happily see disappear. You know, a little click of the thumb, you know what I mean? A little bit of Thanos action going on. And they just went poof. I'd be like, okay, cool, good. That's solved a bit of that issue. Now, 1 million people sounds like a lot, doesn't it, folks? It sounds like if you said to me, Chico, Mr. Chris, I challenge you to eat 1 million jelly beans. I would say, oh, challenge accepted, but prepare for diabetes. Now, I would die in the process because 1 million jelly beans is just ridiculous. I can't even begin to fathom what that would look like. But that sounds like a lot. However, in the grand scheme of things, like if you look at how many people watch Game of Thrones, 1 million people is 5% of the viewership. That's it. 5%. Right? Now, can you imagine if only 5% of the things you did in life people complained about? I'm sure people have complained about at least 68% of the things that I've done in life. 5% would be sweet. But anyway, screw them all. So if you people complained, fuck you. Go and make your own damn show. If you don't like how it ended, that's fine. You don't need to like it. This reminds me of when people... So I get defensive about creative stuff, okay? It's not your creation. You can't decide. But when people get offended by jokes and stuff in a comedy routine, that's your, you can't demand I change the joke because you're offended. Okay? You're offended. Fair enough. That's completely fine. You're totally within your rights to be offended. But you are not within your rights to demand I change the joke because you find it offensive, because the other 99% of the people in the room didn't. And that's fine. So anyway, it's the same kind of thing. You might not have liked it. Other people did. Let's move on. But speaking of Game of Thrones, George R.R. Martin has allegedly been working on a game with a Japanese game developer. And not just any Japanese game developer, but From Software. Sorry, let me say that again without sounding like an idiot. From Software. They are one of my favourite Japanese game companies. They make the Dark Souls games, Demon's Souls, and Sekiro, which recently I've been banging on about loads. Oh, got hiccups again every damn week. So he's meant to be working on a game with them. Now, can you imagine how fucking brilliant a game like Sekiro would be set in the Game of Thrones world? I mean, I know that Dark Souls is set in medieval times anyway, so they're used to that kind of aesthetic. But obviously, I'm assuming it wouldn't be like a brutally difficult Dark Souls style game. I think it'd be more like, a more accessible, fun game based on that world. But what it would be is beyond me. I don't know. What do you folks think it could be? I mean, what kind of game would you want to see that's set in the Game of Thrones universe? Personally, I think it would be really fun to have like almost like a dueling game where you can work your way through the ranks of the enemies in Game of Thrones. You start against, I don't know, Tyrion. No, not Tyrion. You start against the guy who trains you with the sword. Not today. What do we say to death? Not today. That guy. You start against him with a little wooden sword, and eventually you work your way past people, past the mountain and all sorts of creepy shit like that. Eventually you take on the Night King. Was it called the Night King? The White Walker dude? You know what I mean. You take him on eventually, and then you do your thing. That would be a good game. Or maybe something sea-based. You could be in charge of the Iron Fleet. I love games like that. With things like Assassin's Creed, where you can go on ships and shoot things down and go and explore, go and discover. They are cool games. They spark the sort of joy that Marie Kondo would be happy about. Nice little spark of joy. Anyway, I'm waffling on about games, aren't I? Not all of you gamers, I need to remember this. But at the same time, if you don't like it, I'm open for suggestions. Now, this weekend, I'm going to be going and seeing a bunch of my family who I've not seen for a long-arsed time. But it's my Auntie Jean's 70th, which I still can't believe. That doesn't feel anywhere near possible, but that's the case, and it's going to be a whole lot of family there, and I've not seen the family in forever, so it'll be nice. I like seeing my family from time to time. That sounds like a really weird statement, but what I mean is I'm more of a not a recluse, but I don't really socialize like at all. I go home, I do my thing at home, whether it's working or doing the podcast or whatever it is. I like to just, be me. So it's nice every now and again just to break that mold and go and explore, go and see the family for a bit. So that'll be a nice little break, nice little change of pace for me. Plus, I've not been to Liverpool properly for ages, apart from obviously last week I went to the theatre. But, it's not the same, is it? You don't see your family when you go to the theatre, unless you're going with them, in which case you might see them. You'd hope to see them. They might have the tickets. That's scary if they're not there. But yeah, I've been playing some more Sekiro this week. I think I've got myself to the final boss, who is way too hard for me right now. So I'm kind of exploring. I'm looking around. I'm finding bits. I'm finding bobs. I'm putting them all together. And hopefully they will help me make a massive, massive pain sandwich for that last evil boss to chew on, choke down, and die from. So, let's see. I'll keep you all posted next week how I get on with that. Now, I'm pretty busy this week anyway, with sorting stuff out, sorting mortgage stuff out. I hate doing adult stuff. Scary adult things like mortgages and whatnot. I've been doing that this week, and that's a bloody nightmare, as always. Scanning things in and emailing to people, and then realising you forgot to email to a different person, so you've got to email to them. I hate doing adult stuff. I really don't like it. I might get myself a secretary. How's that sound? I saw that there's been a collaboration between Microsoft and Sony, apparently. They've got together to do some sort of thing about streaming and cloud-based gaming for the future. Now, this apparently, I didn't know about this. No one knew this was coming. But apparently the people at PlayStation and Xbox had no idea that the overall presidents of the company above them had met and made this negotiation agreement. Because as you guys probably know, PlayStation and Xbox have always been rivals. So when Sony and Microsoft decide to work together, it can only be a good thing, I think. I think it's going to be helpful. It's going to be good for the future because streaming games seems to be quite a big thing for the future. And with companies like Amazon and Google now coming on board to make video games and to stream them, it's important that the ones that already exist are going to be stronger and better. And this should only help that, hopefully. By the way, folks, did you see, was it just yesterday, the day before maybe? Some dude, some genius, decided to climb the Eiffel Tower on the outside. That's not how you climb the Eiffel Tower, sir. Apparently he went in like everybody else, normally, up to the second floor, which you can do with staircases or whatever. And then apparently you're supposed to get in the lift, and that'll take you to the viewing platform. Well, he probably just thought, you know what? I don't like lifts. Fuck this. I'm going to climb. So he climbed. We still don't know why he climbed, by the way, but he did. He climbed up on the outside, and apparently he was clinging to the outside of the Eiffel Tower for more than 6 hours. That's right, folks. More than 6 hours. Now you just think to yourself, what happens every, 5, 6 hours that needs to happen? And what can you not do when you're hanging from a very, very tall tower? That's right, folks. You need to peep or poop. And I'm just thinking, what did he do? Did he just not piss for 6 hours straight? Because I don't know about you, but if I was skirting the outside of the Eiffel Tower, I would have shat myself minutes in. Never mind 6 hours. I would be minutes, maybe minute. I don't know. I can't guarantee it'd be longer than 60 seconds before I was making brown in places I shouldn't have been making brown. Know what I mean? Now, they still don't know why he climbed it. Apparently he's in custody right now. So they're probably just trying to find out what's going on. Saying, "Oi, are you well? Are you well upstairs?" I don't know what they're trying to say to him. But, in this day and age when stuff like that happens, everybody starts to have a bit of a panic. Because you're like, oh, is he a terrorist? Is he going to blow the top off it? No, luckily none of that happened. He just was, I think he's one of these free climbing people. I'm assuming. I mean, I've never once gone to, a tourist attraction and thought, this is nice and all, but what if I wonder if I can climb it. Can I climb it on the outside? Do you reckon that's possible? I can guarantee you, when I went to the Tokyo Skytree, climbing the outside would be the absolute freaking last thing I would want to do to that. It was fucking scary how big that thing is. Freaking big. But speaking of the Tokyo Skytree, my brother called just before I recorded this podcast, actually, and he was telling me about the fact that he is soon going to Tokyo and Thailand, hopefully. I think he said Thailand. But he was asking me for advice, and I'm going to ask you folks for advice as well to pass on to him. So he wants to know, how how you fight the effects of jet lag whilst you're on holiday, because he's landing and he's got a tournament like the day after, or possibly the day after that. So yeah, what do you folks do when it comes to fighting jet lag? Because I said to him, what I do is a few days before, I'll try and get myself into the sleep cycle that I'm going to be in the different time zones. So, for example, if it's Japan, which is like 9 hours ahead or 8 hours ahead, depending on the time of year, I would go asleep midday or pretty much as soon as I got back from work. And then I would wake up in the middle of the night so that I was off, I was out of sync with our current, time of day, but it got me ready for the Japanese time of day. That works pretty well for me. I also said to make sure that when you're on the plane and they dim everything down for people to go asleep, that is what you do. You go asleep because it helps. I mean, if you can't sleep, fair enough. It's not going to be the end of the world, but it really does help to just get yourself back into that cycle. And the last tip I gave him, I think it was the last one anyway, was to, as soon as you get on the plane, set all your watch and your clock and your phone, whatever, set all your time devices to the time of your destination. So set it all to Japan time, because that way, if you're checking your watch every few minutes, like, oh, what time is it? How long is left? You know your arrival time in Japan. It'll say on the screen in front of you. But if you keep checking your watch, you'll be like, oh, good, we should be there in however many hours. And also, when you're on holiday, right, folks, goes for anybody, by the way. This isn't just me talking to my brother. This goes for everybody. If you're ever on holiday, and I learned this the hard way, by the way. I got shouted at for this. If you're ever on holiday, especially with somebody, don't ever bring up what time it currently is at home, because it fucks with people's heads. I learned this when I was out and about with Charlie in Japan, and I think I just said in passing, that's weird. It's like 3 a.m. in England, or something like that. And I think I did it a few times that day, to be fair. And by maybe the third or fourth time, she was like, will you stop doing that? It's making me really tired. I'm trying to get out of that mindset to be in this mindset. And she was completely right. I realised then, because it wasn't really affecting me, but that's because I was thinking of it. Whereas if somebody else is just happily swanning along and then you bring it up, that's not fair, is it? That's not very fair at all. So don't do that, folks. Don't do that at all. But yeah, also, get well soon, Lucy. I know Lucy's got a bit of man flu. She'll be fine. I assume Lucy's got man flu. She's got a bunch of man flu drugs. She's either got man flu or she's up for a happy weekend. I don't know which one. But anyway, get well soon. Right, folks, that is me for the day. Remember, if you like what you hear, please, I really, really appreciate the reviews you guys are leaving on iTunes. I deeply, deeply appreciate them. Wherever you listen to your podcast, you can leave a review or a rating. 5 stars is preferable. But hey, if you don't want to leave 5, you don't leave 5. That's fine with me. But if you guys have got any questions for me, or you want to give any suggestions, or you've got any answers to any of the questions I asked you today, please get in touch on social media. I'm at Chris Hunter Comedy on everything, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and on Twitter, I'm at Chris Hunter Com, which is short for comedy. Apparently, they can't fit comedy in my bloody title. So, yes, thanks a lot for listening, folks. I will catch all you beautiful barstools next week. Bye-bye now.